All right, guys. So in the previous video, we spoke about the move tool. So here we're going to be talking about the selection tools. Okay. Now, the selection tools are divided into the definite selection tools and the indefinite selection tools. I like to put them that way just so you'd get the picture clearer. Okay. Now, on your selection tools panel by your left, you have just below the move tool, you have your rectangular marquee tool. Okay, like I said previously, when you hover over the tools, you get the names of the tool, the name of each tool you're working on. So hover over it, you get the name of the tool. So you have the rectangular marquee tool. So we have the definite selection tools and the indefinite or the non-definite selection tools. So for the definite selection tools, what they do basically is they have a definite border. Okay, they have a definite border. So example of the one of the um one of the selection tools, the definite selection tools we'll be looking at is the rectangular marquee tool. So the rectangular marquee tool is used to select, or rather the selection tools are used to select an area of the image or a portion of an image you want to work on. So what that means is that once once a selection has been made, whatever you do will just be within that selection. That's why it's called the selection. You are picking out an area you want to work on. Okay. Now, and for this, I want us to use a particular image. So go to File, Open, and from the resource image you have, I want us to open this building image. Building, open. Okay. So then we can see this the building image is open already. Let us unlock the background layer like we have been taught, because we won't be able to use the move tool, for instance, if we do not unlock the background layer. So let's unlock the background layer by clicking that padlock. I hope you remember that. So now we want to talk about the definite selection tool. So now we click on the rectangular marquee tool, which is just below the move tool, and also in brackets here you see an M. That M there is the shortcut for the rectangular marquee tool. Just as the move tool, you will see a V. That V is the shortcut. So when you get used to Photoshop, you get to use more of shortcuts. Okay, so now I could as well just click this rectangular marquee tool or press the M, and now let me explain what this selection is. So I want to select an area, a definite area I want to work on. So this is, let me draw around this door. Okay, so let me draw around this door this way. So now I have selected this area, right? I have selected this door. Now watch what happens when I try to use the move tool. Can you see that? I can only move that area that I have selected. Okay, I can only move that area I have selected. So that's why it's called a selection tool. You can't do any other thing outside of it. Okay, what happens when I try to paint? Let's see. You see, I am only painting within that area I have selected. I can't paint outside, even though I'm on the same layer. Even though we're all on the same layer, I cannot paint outside of that selection that has been made. Okay, so that's to show you what exactly a selection tool is like. And the selection tool is very powerful. You'd always need selection tools in your workings in Photoshop. You'd always need selection tools. So what extent can we use this rectangle selection tool for? Okay, I've gone back, I clicked on it again. What extent can we use this rectangle selection tool for? Now, for instance, I have selected this. I want to make an adjustment to this. Would I have a separate video where we talk about image adjustments and all of that, but let me just, for the sake of this, let me just show you this. Right now I have selected this particular door. Okay, now I want to make this door image brighter. Okay, I want to adjust the color and all that a little. So I go to image. Okay, I click on image adjustments, then I click on brightness stroke contrast. Image adjustment, brightness stroke contrast. So now let's see what happens. preview is ticked, ensure yours is ticked so you'll be seeing it while you're doing it. So let me reduce the brightness a little and increase the contrast. Can you see what's going on here? Can you see what's going on here? Okay, good. So I put the contrast on the highest, and then let me increase the brightness. Oh, okay. You know what? Let's reduce the brightness a little. Good. Okay. Okay, now let me show you. I want to show you the previous video. Now, when you're done selecting an area, in order for you to, for instance, I'm done working on this place now, you have to deselect, right? These things you see moving around, they are called matching ants, right? As long as they are there, all you do would still be within that sphere, but now within that space that you've selected. So now I want to deselect. So how do you deselect? You come over to select and click on deselect. Also, if you look beside you, you see the shortcut Ctrl plus D. You would also be needing that because you'll be doing this a lot. Okay, so click on deselect. The matching ants have gone. So now let's see. You could see this now. So let's go to the our history to see what it was like before. History, when we just opened the image, this is what it was like. Now this is what it's like. Can you see that? Can you see this? This is what the image was like initially. Now it looks a whole lot better. Okay, so now that's what your selection tools do. Okay, there are lots and lots of things you can do with the selection tools. Lots and lots and lots of things you can do with the selection tools. Now also I want to show you something else with the selection tool, and for that I want to create a blank background. I want us to work on a blank background. Okay, so how do I do that? I click on new layer. Okay, sorry, this group. I click on new layer, which is this symbol, new layer, right? And I want to make this layer entirely white. I want to fill this layer with white. How do I fill? Go to edit. Okay, you can see fill here. Fill. Click on fill, and let me fill it with a white background. Under content, I want to fill with sorry, I want to fill with white. So I click on white, or you could click on white, okay, or color. Then we'll choose a color. Let me fill it with a maybe something pinkish, a pink background. Okay, okay. So now I've filled it with a pink background, right? Note that if I close the visibility of this layer, you can see our door underneath it. So open now, so you'd see the layer properly. Now, with this pink layer, I want to show you something about selection, some more things you can do with selection. So I click on the rectangle marquee tool, right? And I draw here. So I have selected this point. If I want to cut out this point, this part I have selected from this picture, what do I do? There are three ways you can go about it. You either, with your cursor inside, you either come here, you click on cut, layer via cut. What layer via cut does is that it would cut out that image, but it will put it on a new layer. Okay, so layer via cut, you see, it has created a new layer, but then on the former layer, it has cut it out. So let me close the visibility of this new layer so you see. You see that? It has cut out our former layer. It has cut out our selection, but then it placed it on a new layer. Okay, now let me undo that, which is done by what? Control Z, Control Alternate Z, right? So good, we have our background back to normal. Now another way is I make a selection here, I go to edit and I click on cut. You can see the shortcut here, which is the third way, Control plus X. So I click on cut, it has cut it out. Okay, so it has cut out that selection we made out of the picture. So what if I don't want to cut it? Control Z, take it back. What if I don't want to cut it? What if I want to copy it? Okay, now let me use the picture below to show you. Let me use that door to show you. Okay, for that I'll deselect this. That's Control D, or select, deselect. Why am I deselecting? I'm deselecting because I do not want what I want to do. I don't just want to limit it to that area, to that space I've selected. So I deselect. Now let's go back to the former door we were working on. So I turn off the visibility of this layer and I click on that door layer, right? Now, with your rectangle marquee tool still clicked, what do? I select the door. Sorry, there's a mistake. So deselect. I select the door. Good. So now I have selected the door, and remember, I want to cut. What do? Edit, cut. It's cut it out. Alternatively, Ctrl Z, alternatively right click and layer via cut. Okay, it has still cut it out, but placed what we cut out on a new layer, right? So what if I want to copy? What if I want to copy? I don't want to cut it out, I just want to copy this particular part. So what do? Okay, so right click, layer via copy. So layer via copy has already created a new layer. It didn't cut it, it didn't just cut, it didn't cut it out of that former one. It just made that selection a new layer while retaining the former. How do I know? You click on your move tool or you press V, come on, there's a new layer already created here. Then you move. Look at this. It has moved that door over to this side. It has moved that door. It has created a new layer. So now this is the beginning of photo manipulations. So someone can then decide to put this door down here, right? Now this is a rough work. We could switch this up a little more, but we could decide to just put this door. This is the beginning of photo manipulation. This is how it all starts. And then people will think that, oh, there are two doors, without knowing that you just simply move this door from here there, right? So this is photo man. As a matter of fact, you can also make this door bigger with your what? How do you do that? Edit, free transform, and then you increase the size of the door. So one would think that, oh, this is a much bigger door than the former. Okay, then enter. Okay, one would think, oh, this is a bigger door than the former. So basically, that's when you want to do photo manipulations, you cannot do photo manipulations outside of your selection tools. You cannot do them outside your selection tools a number of times, right? Because you need to cut, you need to, and all of that. Now, there's something I want you to know about selection tools. So I'll delete this new door layer, delete. I want you to know something about selection tools, and it's very important you learn this. So now I want to create a new layer and fill it with a white background. So I come here, new layer, or alternatively, Control Shift N. Control Shift N brings up the dialog box. I click OK. Okay. Now, so I've created a new layer. So I want to fill it with white color. So I go to Edit and Fill, or as you can see, Shift F5, Shift plus F5, or Shift plus backspace. So I click on Shift F5. Okay, I want to fill it with white this time. So white. Okay, good. Now it's white. So let me show you something. What if I have selected this area now? I've selected this area. Now, earlier I taught you about what we call the property bar. And I mentioned that every tool has its own properties. Rectangle marquee tool has its own properties. Selection tools have similar property bar. Now, this is the property bar. I click, realize when I click on the move tool, it changes. Now I've clicked on the rectangle marquee tool, this was there. So now we have made the selection and we want, wow, you realize, okay, no, not this. I want the selection to be, now you've made this selection, so let's go back and make the selection again. You click, you've made this selection, okay, and then you're like, I want it to be bigger. I want it to be bigger. So if you click again, what happens? It deletes that former selection and makes a bigger one, right? What if you want to select more than one point on the same on the same image? So you want to select more than one point, right? Let me say you want to select this, and then you want to select another point here. Okay, how do you do that? Now, up here in the property bar, you have a selection known as what? The new selection. New. So new selection is what's highlighted. What that means is that every time you make a selection, it deletes the former one. So just beside it, we have what we call the add to selection. What add to selection does is that it preserves the first one and adds a new one. So now let's click on add to selection. So we've clicked on add to selection. Now we click. You see, the former selection is still there, and then there's a new selection. Now let's deselect. How do you deselect everything? Select plus deselect. I'm going to be using the shortcut henceforth Control D. So you deselect with Control D. So now we've deselected. Let's do that again. Click on new selection, draw the first one. Now you want to draw the second one. You see, it deletes the first one. Okay, deselect, Control D. Now we've created a new one. The new one, you've clicked on add to selection. You create the first one. You want to add the second one. You add. Both selections are there. None is deleted. Good. So let's deselect again. Control D. Now the next button after it is what? The subtract from selection. Okay. How does that work? Let's click on subtract from selection. You've created a new layer, but you're like, okay, I don't want this thing to just be this layer is too tall. It's too tall. I want it to be shorter. I want it to be shorter. So instead of you having to draw a new layer, you can just click on subtract from selection, and then you draw over the side you want to remove from the selection. Okay, you draw over that side that you want to remove from selection, and you click. It removes. Add, while new selection will delete your previous selection, give you a new selection. Add to selection will leave your previous selection and add a new selection. Subtract from selection would just reduce from the selection you already have. So let's do that again. Subtract from selection is still here. Then I click and I drag and it reduced it. Good. Now we have the last one here, which is intersect with selection. Like it says intersect. You know, in maths, when we say A intersect B, that means that whatever is common between A and B. So here we have, let's click on intersect with selection. You have this selection already made, and then we draw another one from the inside of that selection such that they have something in common. They have an area they both share. So when I release this, what intersect from selection will do is it will only preserve or only select the area common to both selections. So let's click on that. So you see, we have only this selection here picked. So it selects the area common to both sides. So now let's deselect, Control D. Let's go to a practical situation, that is this door. I have closed the visibility of our white background, and now we are on this door. So now this door, let's see how this works. So click on new selection first. So now let's draw over. So now sorry, let's deselect, Control D. Now click down, make it a little further than the door itself. Good, we've done that. It's now a little further, it's now a little lower than the door. So you're like, okay, what do I want to do now? I want to reduce it. I want to reduce the selection because I don't want to select the concrete below the door. So what do I do? Subtract from selection. Then I come to that part I want to subtract and I draw over it. Right? It has removed that part. So I've drawn over it, now it has removed it. What if I mistakenly draw so much? Okay, I need to add to it. So what do? I click on add to selection, and then I draw back what I want to add. Good. So you see, when you're making selections, a lot of times you have to zoom in so you prevent all these things and watch it accurately. So now I've added to the selection now. Okay, what if I want to intersect from selection? I just want to select the things common. So I come here, I draw here, and there you go. It has intersected. So again, I draw here, it has intersected. So that is what you should know about the selection tool, the rectangle selection tool. That's basically how it works. This same principle that applies to the rectangle selection tool also applies to the circle market tool and all the other selection tools in terms of the add to selection, new selection, and all that. Now, let's deselect. Let me open the visibility of our white background. I want to show you something. Now, let's draw a rectangle with this selection tool. So let's select an area. So now I select. So as you can see, just as the same thing with when we are trying to scale a picture proportionally, this is not definite. This is a rectangle. What if I want it to be a square? What do I do? The same thing we spoke earlier. You click, hold down shift. When you hold down shift, it makes it a square. Okay, but if you release shift, you see, it becomes a rectangle. It becomes a rectangle, but if you hold down shift, it becomes a square. So that's how you select square object. You hold down shift. So now I'm holding down shift and I've selected the square. Okay, now please click on your, ensure your white background layer is clicked. Now I want to fill this with a color. I right click. What do I do? Fill. Let me make it pink color. This pink. Okay. Okay. So I have selected this right now. Okay, then don't forget to always deselect. Good. So click on your move tool. You can see that. Okay, now why is it that when I use my move tool, it's not moving just the pink box I just created, but it's moving the whole layer? Do you know why? Because the pink box is not on a separate layer. If the pink box was on a separate layer, it is going to create, it's going to move just the pink box. So that's one thing you should note. Just look at this. I have clicked on this layer 2, which I would like to rename to our white background. I hope you've not forgotten how to rename white background layer. Okay, or just white background. Okay, I've clicked on this. Now let's make a selection. I have made a selection while on this layer. Now for some reason I mistakenly click on this background layer, layer 0, which I want to call our wall layer. So I mistakenly click on this layer, but I made a selection while I'm on this layer, and then I right click. I want to cut it. I right click, or rather I go to edit, cut. What happened? Did it cut? Yes, it did. But what layer did it affect? It affected the layer just below the first one. So even if you make a selection while you are on a higher layer, as long as the movement you made, as long as the action you took it on another layer, it's going to cut that layer. And that's why, even though the selection was made while on this layer, because we mistakenly clicked the lower layer, it cuts that lower layer and not the layer we are on. So selections are, they are independent of layers. Okay, so the selections are just on it, they are up. So whatever layer you, once you make a selection, you've made a selection. Whatever layer you then click on will then determine where that selection takes effect. I hope I'm very clear. So whatever layer you click on determines where that selection takes effect. So again, just to ensure you really understand this, I'm turning on the visibility of this pink layer, which I want to call pink layer. Good. Now I'm turning on that visibility, and then I make a selection on it. I've made a selection on it, and I go down to our white background layer, and I click cut. Shortcut for cut, aside edit and cut, is what? Control plus X. So Control plus X, I have cut. It's not cutting here, Why? Because the layer I clicked on when cutting is the white background layer. So when I turn off the visibility of the pink layer, you can see that the white background has been cut off. Okay, this is the white background layer. You can see it. Let me click my move tool. You can see the white background layer has been cut off. Okay, so that's that about the rectangle marquee tool. Also, when you click on, let me undo, right? That's Control Alternate Z, Control D. Now, also, when you long click, or right click on the rectangle marquee tool, you have what we call the elliptical marquee tool. This is exactly like the rectangle marquee tool, just that it's a circle, just that it's for circular selections. So I've clicked on the rectangle marquee tool. This is a circular selection. Okay, so you can see this. Now, as you can see, it's not giving us a perfect circle. If you want to get a perfect circle, guess what you do? You hold down shift, it gives you a perfect circle. Okay, you hold down shift, it gives you a perfect circle. Also, let me say you want to grow your circle from a center. Your cursor is at the center already. You hold down shift, hold down alternate, and then you grow your circle from the center outward. Can you see? Look at the difference. Hold down shift and alternate, you grow your circle from the center outward. But if you hold down just shift, you grow it from a point out. Okay, good. So the same way the rectangle marquee tool works is the same way the elliptic tool works, and I'm going to give you an assignment on this elliptic tool just so I'm sure you understand it. Okay, so I'll attach your assignment to this video shortly. So it has to do with the elliptic tool, and it's going to be pretty simple. Okay, so deselect. Now let's go to the next tool. The next tool we have here is your single row marquee tool. Your single row marquee tool. So the single row marquee tool and the single column marquee tool are basically the same thing. The way they work is they select one pixel. They select one pixel space. Okay, so they are not like your rectangle that you could use to select anything. These ones just select one pixel. I've only used the single row marquee tool once in my entire design career. I don't frequently use it. Well, I think once or twice or thereabout. I use it when I was creating a particular barcode, right? But then let me show you how it works. So when you click on the single line marquee tool, single row marquee tool, and then you click. Now this has selected one pixel, but we may not be able to appreciate that here because of this is a plain background. So let me turn off the visibility of the pink layer and the white layer so you see it clearly on the wall layer. So our single row marquee tool has been clicked. Now let's zoom in. This is the button here, or you click on Z, right? Now let's zoom in. We're going to keep zooming in. You click and drag to zoom in. Click and drag to zoom in, or you click. So now we've zoomed in now. Now hold your single row marquee tool and click. Okay, we haven't seen it yet. So another way to zoom in is Control plus, right? So now when you zoom into this view, when you zoom in here, you can then hold your single row marquee tool and click. You see it has selected just one pixel. So let me Control X. I've deleted that pixel now. Now let's zoom out. You can zoom out with Control minus. Can you see that? But because of how thin it is, it's just one pixel. You barely see it. You barely even know that anything has happened. That's why I don't frequently use it. You see, you barely know that anything has happened. So that's why your single row, the single column marquee tool is basically the same thing also, just that it's a column. Okay, so it does the same thing. Then you deselect. You see, basically the same thing also. So that's that about the definite selection tools. In the next video, we'll talk about some more irregular selection tools that give you more freedom to do